and welcome to episode number 96 of Seattle Geekly, where we speak geek.
Hello and welcome to the Psychology in Seattle podcast. I am your host, Kirk Honda. I'm a professor and a licensed therapist.
Hey, Scenesters, it's Les Sterling from Seattle Gay Scene. Podcast is back.
I've experimented with a number of different creative endeavors over time to varying degrees of non-success. But the guy I started Sarcastic Voyage with, Matt, and I decided that audio gave us a whole different realm, a different medium that we could experiment in, and gave us a little more freedom.
What really inspired John and I to do the comic book podcast, we were sitting at Emerald City Comic Con, and we both have been comic book geeks growing up and whatnot. And we were debating back and forth for like 20 minutes, and I think it was me, I said, you know what, this is a really good conversation. Let's record this. Let's put this out into the world.
We started podcasting because Shannon came home from work one day and said, hey, we should start a podcast.
The podcast sort of became an extension of our weekly sort of messaging.
What I'm passionate about is contributing to the community that we've been a part of, all our lives.
Yeah.
And the way we can do that is through a podcast.
You know, you go to a party and you have some conversations with people, and you might walk away from a party saying, I had a really good conversation with that one guy, or that one person, that one woman, she was funny. We had a little connection there. But the most you can usually get out of it is, a few minutes or 5-10 minutes or something. But when we have podcasts, we'll record for 2 or 3 hours and have it be very intense and lots of ups and downs and funny moments and sad moments, and so as a very social person, I get to have a lot of socializing from podcasting.
The shows that we do cost a lot more money than you would think. Most of that comes out of my own pocket. Basically, all of the spending money that I get, all the extra money that I get, pretty much goes into the show or promoting the show.
The shorter answer to why I do the podcast is I have no idea, because it pays off so little and there's so little real benefit to me in my life and my career that it's really a mystery as to why I do it.
Well, in 2011, we were getting really overwhelmed with all of the things that we were doing, trivia nights and game nights and conventions. And I was starting to get sick and easily exhausted. About 8 months later, we found out that I had stage 3 colon cancer. So we hope we helped somebody find a new book, a new author, a new music genre, a new song they hadn't heard of, and I think we did.
And maybe a new group of friends.
And, I think we did, and that was our goal for the podcast, and we will miss doing this. We'll miss being recognized by our voices, which is weird. But, overall...
I think we accomplished a lot of what we set out to do. And
thanks for listening.
Yes, thanks so much for listening. And
Definitely the most frustrating thing about podcasting and about really any internet-based venture is the difficulty of not really knowing who's watching, who's listening, who's reading.
I don't hear from hardly anybody.
When you're in cancer treatment, it's a very singular thing. Like, your body and you are going through something. And even though, like, Matt was there every step of the way, I kind of, lost that sense of community. For 10 and a half months, I felt like an outsider because of the cancer treatment and what I had to go through. So it really kind of, I was the one that came up with, let's see if we can restart this. In 2012, we started a Kickstarter that we didn't think really would be funded.
we decided that it would be like $3,000.
When I do get an email, I really soak it up and I really read it intently.
The first time Matt and I got on a stage and actually performed our stuff in front of people, and I heard that laughter, and I realized, wait a minute, I do know what I'm doing. This stuff actually does work. It was incredible.
I was surprised. I was really surprised.
We were asking for $3,000. I think we got $3,300.
Yeah, something like that.
but we kind of weren't expecting it to succeed because of all the other podcasts out there that were on Kickstarter. It just didn't work.
I have grown to love our audience, especially hearing like on Twitter, Facebook, however people contact us and saying, hey, I found this because you talked about it on your podcast. I went to see this movie because you talked about it on your podcast. That's really the big part of the relationship for me is when people say, hey, this happened, this great thing happened because you guys talked about it.
If somebody wanted to really start podcasting, just do it. The technological barrier to entry is so low. You literally, if you have a smartphone, you have the capacity to record a podcast.
Everybody can have a blog. Everybody can have a website. We're not doing anything that anybody else couldn't do.
If there's something you feel really passionately about that other people really need to hear, just go and try it. You may not like it. The hardest thing I think is longevity. The hardest thing is to keep going and to accept that you may not have an audience for a long time.
A main drive for us was just getting to talk about something we're passionate about. That really keeps us going because it's something we can invest ourselves in and really just be something we're interested in, so we don't ever really have a slog or feel like we're just doing it to do it type deal. We're doing it because it's something we really love.